It promised unlimited wealth, daily profits, passive income that never stopped, no banks, no government, no limits, just Bitcoin in and money out. BitConnect was more than a crypto platform. It was a movement, a miracle, a myth until one day, it all vanished, billions lost, thousands ruined. One man's voice echoing through the internet, BitConnect! This isn't just the story of a scam, it's the story of blind belief, viral hype, and one of the most devastating crypto collapses in history. Chapter 1. The Rise. Easy money, viral hype, and the promise of passive wealth. In the world of crypto, nothing spreads faster than a dream. And in late 2016, BitConnect offered the dream of all dreams, a financial system that paid you to do nothing. No trading, no stress, just park your money and watch it multiply. It called itself a decentralized financial platform. It claimed to use a mysterious volatility trading bot to generate consistent daily returns. Investors were told they could earn up to 1% interest per day. That's about 30% per month, compounding. To many, it sounded too good to be true. To thousands, it sounded like salvation. BitConnect's model was simple. You gave them Bitcoin. In return, they gave you BitConnect coin, abbreviated BCC. You could hold the coin, or better yet, lend it back to the platform. In exchange, you earned daily payouts. The more you lent, the more you earned. The platform claimed to use its secret software to trade on your behalf, profiting from crypto market volatility. But no one ever saw this bot. No white papers, no audit, just charts and promises. Still, the math was intoxicating. $1,000 loan could earn you over $50,000 in just 1 year. $10,000 investment could allegedly earn you over $1 million. It wasn't just a platform, it was a fantasy. And in a post-2008 world where trust in banks was dead, BitConnect looked like the future. The cult of BitConnect. But it wasn't just numbers that made BitConnect explode, it was the people. In early 2017, the platform introduced an affiliate program, one of the most aggressive ever seen in crypto. Anyone could sign up and start promoting the platform. For every person you brought in, you earned a commission. And when they brought in more people, you got a cut of that too. It was classic multi-level marketing, dressed up in blockchain language. YouTubers latched onto the model with fervor. Dozens, then hundreds of influencers started uploading daily videos. Titles like, I made $600 today with BitConnect. BitConnect daily profits, proof of passive income. This bot will make you rich. The most enthusiastic promoters became celebrities in the crypto scene. One man would become the face of it all, Carlos Matos. At the 2017 BitConnect annual ceremony in Thailand, Matos stormed the stage in a white shirt, red tie, and the energy of a preacher. His voice boomed as he shouted, "Hey, hey, hey, hey!" And then with eyes bulging and arms flailing, he delivered the now legendary scream, BitConnect. The crowd went wild. Matos repeated it again and again, laughing, yelling, pointing at the audience like he was leading a revival. The video went viral overnight. Clips of Carlos shouting BitConnect were remixed into EDM tracks, TikToks, memes, parodies, and eventually, news headlines. But behind the laughter was a chilling truth. Carlos Matos wasn't just entertainment, he was the siren call for thousands of new investors. He claimed he was making hundreds of dollars every day from the platform, that he had put in $25,000 and was on track to earn hundreds of thousands. He told the audience they could change their lives too. All they had to do was believe and invest, and many did. Some emptied savings accounts, others mortgaged homes. In countries where poverty was rampant and opportunities rare, BitConnect looked like a miracle. In Nigeria, Vietnam, the Philippines, and Eastern Europe, videos circulated promising that BitConnect was the answer to inequality. The people who got in early flaunted wealth, new phones, new clothes, new lives. For once they were winning, or so it seemed. The coin that wouldn't stop climbing. As the hype grew, so did the price. BitConnect coin launched with a price under $1 in 2016. By the end of 2017, it had skyrocketed past $400. That kind of return was unheard of. People who had put in $1,000 at launch were now sitting on over $400,000 in value. The crypto bull run of 2017 helped. Bitcoin was climbing toward $20,000. Ethereum was going parabolic. Altcoins were booming. But even among those, BitConnect stood out. It wasn't just the coin's performance, it was the platform's promise. You didn't have to trade. You didn't have to understand markets. You didn't even have to think. You just had to lend, and the bot would do the rest, or so they said. Behind the curtain, BitConnect was never open about its operations. There were no public records of the trading bot, no audited financials, no listed company address, no regulatory filings, and yet, thousands poured in. The lending tiers made it feel like a game. Lend, $109.99, daily interest. Lend, $1,049.99 faster. Capital return. Lend over $10,000 higher. Rates and bonus payouts. It created a psychology of levels. People weren't just investing, they were leveling up. And with every level came new promises of financial independence. For the platform, it was perfect. For the investors, it was a trap, affiliate hype and the echo chamber. The affiliate program was BitConnect's most powerful weapon. Influencers weren't just promoting the platform. They were profiting from it massively. For every user they brought in, they earned a percentage of that person's lending amount. And the more people that person brought in, the deeper the rewards went. This created an exponential recruitment cycle. YouTubers with 10,000 followers started pulling in tens of thousands in commissions. Some built courses, private groups, coaching sessions. It wasn't just investing, it was a movement. But that movement was built on air. There was no real product. No proof the bot existed. No way to verify payouts were coming from anything other than new money. Still, the hype train kept rolling. Any criticism was dismissed as FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Skeptics were labeled haters. Even when financial experts pointed out the red flags, the community doubled down. They believed in the bot. They believed in passive income. They believed in Carlos Matos, and that belief was the most dangerous asset BitConnect had. The bigger the bubble. By late 2017, BitConnect had become too big to ignore. It was ranking in the top 20 cryptocurrencies by market cap, and it claimed over 1.5 million registered users. The market cap exceeded 2.5 billion. BitConnect booths started appearing at crypto expos. The team hinted at launching a BitConnect debit card. Some spoke of expanding to real estate, e-commerce, even their own blockchain. Investors dreamed of passive income forever. The phrase financial freedom became a chant. But all the while, regulators were watching. In December 2017, the UK government issued a warning. In January 2018, the Texas State Securities Board delivered a cease and desist letter. North Carolina followed. They accused BitConnect of operating an unregistered securities platform. The lending program, they said, was misleading. The returns? Unrealistic. The risk? Hidden. And then, on January 16, 2018, BitConnect collapsed. Without warning, the platform shut down its lending and exchange services. The message was vague, citing bad press, regulatory pressure, and denial of service attacks. The coin plummeted from $400 to under $10 in days. Portfolios that once showed 6 or 7 figures were now worth pennies, and there was no customer support, no refunds, no answers. The silence was louder than Carlos Matos's scream. Chapter 2. The Collapse. Red flags, regulatory pressure, and panic at its peak. BitConnect seemed invincible. The coin was booming, investor returns were skyrocketing, and promoters were living like royalty. But behind the slick dashboards, behind the affiliate marketing, and behind Carlos Matos's infamous scream, the walls were beginning to crack. For a while, no one wanted to look too closely. The dream was just too sweet. But as the months rolled on, the first signs of trouble started to appear. And once they did, they didn't stop. Regulatory storm clouds, the warning shots came quietly at first. In November 2017, the UK Registrar of Companies issued a notice that BitConnect had failed to provide valid documentation regarding its operations. The company had 14 days to comply or face dissolution. BitConnect did respond, but the attention didn't go unnoticed. Soon after, the Federal Reserve Bank of the United States received complaints. Investors and analysts were beginning to question how a relatively unknown platform could be paying out 1% interest daily. Consistently, in a market as volatile as crypto, then came the cease and desist letters. On January 4, 2018, the Texas State Securities Board issued a formal warning, ordering BitConnect to halt its operations. The board stated that BitConnect was selling unregistered securities in the state of Texas and making misleading statements regarding investment returns. The language was clear. The company's promises of daily returns are not registered with the Securities Commissioner. There is no evidence BitConnect is actually engaged in trading, and the statements made to investors are materially misleading or otherwise likely to deceive the public. A few days later, North Carolina joined the attack, issuing their own cease and desist order against the platform. The cracks were no longer theoretical. They were legal, and for BitConnect's leadership, whoever they really were, the pressure was building fast. The myth of the bot at the core of BitConnect's lending program was a single claim: that it used a secret volatility bot, a piece of automated software that could predict crypto market fluctuations and generate massive returns. It was a black box. No one had seen the code. No one had seen it in action, no audit, no third-party verification, just a few animated explainer videos and some graphs. Critics began asking questions. If this trading bot was so successful, why not just use it privately and grow your own wealth? Why share it with strangers? The answer, of course, was simple. There was no bot, at least not one that worked as claimed. Evidence later revealed that returns were not tied to market performance at all. They were algorithmically generated, consistent, calculated, and completely fabricated. BitConnect wasn't investing user funds. It was recycling them. New investor money was used to pay out older investors. It was a Ponzi scheme hidden under the slick skin of crypto marketing. And yet, even with the red flags piling up, the community refused to believe. In YouTube comment sections and Telegram groups, defenders claimed the bot was under NDA or that revealing it would compromise trade secrets. Some insisted regulators didn't understand crypto and were simply jealous of its success. The denial ran deep, and that's exactly what allowed the collapse to go unnoticed, until it couldn't be ignored any longer. The fall begins January 16th. 2018. BitConnect published a blog post on its website that would send shockwaves across the entire crypto space. The post read, "We are closing the lending platform and the exchange platform. This is due to continuous bad press, legal threats, and DDoS attacks." It was abrupt, cold, and final. In one paragraph, the dream ended. Investors were told they would be repaid their loans, not in Bitcoin but in BCC tokens, at a fixed rate of $363 per coin, the value at the time of the announcement. But the market didn't agree. As soon as the news broke, panic spread. People rushed to sell their tokens, and the price of BCC collapsed. $363 dropped to $100, then to $30, then to $10, then to pennies. Within a week, BitConnect coin had lost over 96% of its value. Billions of dollars in market cap evaporated. Portfolios turned to dust. Lives were ruined overnight. The site stayed online for a few days. Then it disappeared. Support emails bounced. The mobile app stopped working. The company's social media accounts went dark. For most users, it was the last time they'd ever hear from BitConnect. Promoters run for cover. The influencers who once proudly promoted BitConnect, the daily YouTubers, the affiliate marketers, the loudest voices in the room, began to panic. Some deleted their videos. Others made apology posts. A few went silent altogether. The top-tier promoters had made millions from referral commissions. Now they were being asked hard questions. Trevon James, Craig Grant, Crypto Nick, Crypto Clover. These were some of the most high-profile BitConnect pushers on YouTube. At the height of the platform's success, their videos were bringing in hundreds of thousands of views. They showcased luxury cars, designer clothes, and beach vacations. But in January 2018, they were suddenly nowhere to be found. The SEC took notice. In the months following the collapse, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission filed civil lawsuits against multiple BitConnect promoters for offering unregistered securities and misleading the public. Some cooperated. Others lawyered up. A few vanished. The message was clear. Promoting scams online had real consequences. But for the victims, the people who had trusted these influencers, there was little comfort. Their money was gone. And unlike traditional investment schemes, there was no bank to call, no office to visit, no legal safety net. There was only silence. The search for accountability, as investigators dug deeper. The true structure of BitConnect was revealed. At the top was Satish Kumbhani, an Indian national alleged to be the founder and architect of the scheme. Operating from offshore jurisdictions, he kept his identity mostly hidden during the platform's rise. But in 2022, the U.S. Department of Justice formally indicted him for wire fraud, money laundering, and operating an unlicensed money transmitter. Prosecutors claimed that BitConnect defrauded investors of more than $2.4 billion, one of the largest crypto frauds in history. Kumbhani was accused of coordinating a global Ponzi scheme, using a fake trading algorithm and manipulating the price of BCC through internal wallets and false market activity. By the time the charges were filed, Kumbhani had vanished. Interpol issued a red notice. Indian authorities launched their own investigation. But as of today, his whereabouts remain unknown. A global web of deception, the collapse of BitConnect wasn't confined to one country. It was a global disaster. In Vietnam, thousands of users were left penniless. In Nigeria, the collapse triggered protests. In South Korea, investors filed criminal complaints. In the UK, several families reported financial devastation. In total, victims were spread across over 100 countries. Many had poured their life savings into the platform. Others had borrowed money, believing the returns were guaranteed. Some had convinced family and friends to join. The shame was overwhelming, and the psychological toll was immense. In private forums and Telegram chats, users confessed to depression. Some claimed that suicide had followed. The community that once celebrated profits now mourned losses and blamed themselves. It wasn't just a financial collapse. It was emotional ruin. The price of blind faith. What made BitConnect so successful wasn't its technology. It wasn't the coin. It wasn't the bot. It was the story. The story that you could earn passive income every day. The story that you didn't need to understand crypto. The story that a secret algorithm would do all the work for you. It was a dream. And people believed it. They believed it because the website looked professional, because the charts showed growth, because influencers repeated the same messages day after day. They believed it because they wanted to. And that's what made BitConnect so dangerous. It weaponized hope. And when the truth came out, it shattered more than just bank accounts. It shattered trust. Chapter 3: Fallout, Victims. Lawsuits and the collapse of trust. When BitConnect collapsed in early 2018, it wasn't just a financial crash. It was the disintegration of belief. The belief that cryptocurrency was a shortcut to financial freedom. That technology could beat the system. That you could finally win without understanding how. And when that illusion vanished, it didn't just leave bankruptcy. It left pain, betrayal, silence. From profits to pennies. In December 2017, BitConnect coin was worth over $400. By February 2018, it was worth under $5. That crash was more than a market correction. It was digital annihilation. Investors who once saw 5- or 6-figure balances logged in to see their portfolios reduced to dust. Screenshots began circulating on Reddit and Telegram. $80,000 became $1,900. $200,000 became $3,400. Some laughed nervously, most cried, and others vanished. In India, a 24-year-old investor went silent after the collapse. His last message to friends was a screenshot of his BCC wallet, once enough to buy a house, now worthless. In the Philippines, a couple had sold their farmland to lend over 3 BTC into the platform. By the time BitConnect shut down, their token balance couldn't even buy groceries. From Nigeria to Venezuela, from the US to South Korea, people had gambled their livelihoods on daily returns and lost everything. But the worst wasn't the money. It was the shame they had believed. Recruited friends, talked family members into joining, held Zoom calls, promoted on Facebook. Some were even local ambassadors. Now they were ghosts, too embarrassed to speak. Promoters in the crosshairs, while most victims were retail investors. A small elite group had been the public face of BitConnect promoters on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and WhatsApp. These individuals had pushed BitConnect's message to the masses. They weren't part of the platform's backend, but they were instrumental in driving growth. They made videos titled, "How I Made $10,000 This Week with BitConnect." My passive income machine. BitConnect better than a job. Some built entire channels on BitConnect content, and as their referrals grew, so did their income. Some earned tens of thousands in referral bonuses, others, much more. After the collapse, many went quiet. But screenshots, video clips, and promo codes remained, and the lawsuits began. In the United States, class action cases were filed in multiple states. Plaintiffs accused influencers of selling unregistered securities, making false financial claims, acting as unlicensed investment advisors. In court, the promoters argued ignorance, that they were simply users sharing their experiences, but their videos told a different story. In one clip, a promoter claimed, "You don't have to worry about losing. BitConnect pays daily. Guaranteed." In another, a YouTuber offered bonus incentives for referrals, violating multiple securities regulations. The SEC took note. In 2021, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission charged several BitConnect promoters for illegally touting securities without disclosing their compensation. Among those named were Glenn Arcaro, the top U.S. promoter. Several others with large YouTube followings. Arcaro pleaded guilty. He admitted he earned millions from BitConnect and funneled portions into offshore accounts, luxury vehicles, and property. As part of his plea, he agreed to forfeit over $56 million in assets, the largest recovery for BitConnect victims to date. He was later sentenced to 38 months in federal prison. Other promoters avoided criminal charges, but faced civil penalties, fines, and injunctions banning them from promoting crypto again. Still, for victims, justice felt slow and incomplete. Carlos Matos, From Meme to Cautionary Tale. If there was one name the world associated with BitConnect, it was Carlos Matos. In late 2017, Matos took the stage at a BitConnect conference in Thailand. What followed became internet legend. "Hey, hey, hey, BitConnect!" He shouted, he danced. He laughed maniacally, his speech was wild. His energy unfiltered. He became an instant meme. Clips of his performance spread everywhere. But when the platform collapsed, his image took on a new meaning. Some saw him as a clown. Others, a symbol of everything wrong with crypto hype culture. Matos later claimed he wasn't an employee, that he lost money too, that he believed the project was real. He said he was just excited and wanted to motivate people. But it didn't matter. To the public, Matos became the face of financial naivety. His viral laugh, a tragic echo of what blind faith can sound like. He disappeared for a while, then returned to YouTube in 2020 with workout videos and crypto advice, but his reputation never recovered. He wasn't a villain. He wasn't a hero. He was a warning. The hunt for Satish Kumbhani. Behind the chaos, one name kept surfacing. Satish Kumbhani, the alleged founder of BitConnect. For months, Kumbhani was a mystery. No public appearances, no interviews, no transparency. After the crash, reports surfaced that he was hiding in India, shielded by networks of associates and shell companies. U.S. authorities charged him with wire fraud, commodity fraud operating, an unlicensed money transmission business, conspiracy to commit international money laundering. The indictment claimed Kumbhani and his team stole over $2.4 billion from investors. But when Indian police arrived at his listed address in Maharashtra, he was gone. Interpol issued a red notice. Global search operations began. To this day, he remains a fugitive. Authorities believe he moved funds through mixers, cross-chain swaps, and offshore wallets, making them nearly impossible to track. BitConnect's back-end infrastructures, exchanges, servers, dashboards, were hosted in multiple jurisdictions, complicating enforcement. Even the platform's corporate registration, BitConnect London in the UK, was revealed to be fraudulent. It was registered using a false address and expired IDs. There was no real company, no real office, just a website. The deeper investigators looked, the darker it got, the emotional collapse. What made BitConnect especially devastating wasn't just the money lost, it was the psychological impact. Many victims weren't experienced investors. They were ordinary people, students, retirees, single parents, pulled in by the dream of passive income. Some had taken loans, others had sold property. In forums, people shared stories of losing not just money, but relationships, homes, and health. One man in the UK told the BBC he had a nervous breakdown after losing $70,000 of money he had been saving for 12 years. Another investor from South Africa reported his family stopped speaking to him after he convinced them to invest. Therapists later called it financial trauma, a deep psychological wound caused by the sudden collapse of perceived stability. And since crypto scams often happen outside traditional financial structures, there was no emotional safety net either. Victims suffered in silence, a cautionary landmark. BitConnect's fallout wasn't just personal, it was cultural. It became the blueprint for identifying crypto scams: unrealistic returns, lack of transparency, heavy emphasis on referrals, no audited financials, anonymous founders, over-the-top marketing. Regulators used the case to push new policies. In the U.S., agencies began targeting influencer-based financial promotions. Platforms like YouTube updated guidelines around financial content. In India, enforcement agencies launched deeper investigations into crypto money laundering. In the UK, Parliament used BitConnect as a reference when proposing stricter crypto rules. BitConnect also became a case study in business schools, not as a lesson in crypto success, but in marketing psychology, viral trust, and the speed of modern financial disasters. It wasn't just a scam, it was a mirror, reflecting what can happen when technology outpaces accountability, and when hope drowns out common sense. Chapter 4, Reckoning, Global Legal Battles, Restitution, and the Collapse of Confidence. In the aftermath of BitConnect's collapse, a question haunted everyone: would justice ever be served? Billions had disappeared. Investors were ruined. Promoters had cashed out. And the man believed to be behind it all, Satish Kumbhani, had vanished. But the damage couldn't be ignored. And around the world, law enforcement agencies, financial regulators, and angry victims began demanding answers. This wasn't just a scam. It was a global digital crime scene. Legal avalanche begins. First official move came from the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, in the United States. In September 2021, the SEC filed a sweeping complaint against BitConnect, its founder Satish Kumbhani, and top U.S. promoter Glenn Arcaro. The charges included operating in unregistered securities, offering fraudulently marketing a trading bot that never existed, misleading thousands of investors about returns, engaging in deceptive Ponzi-style payments. The SEC revealed the scale of the fraud was over $2.4 billion. That number stunned even hardened investigators. It made BitConnect one of the largest crypto scams in history. The filing laid out damning details. No trading bot had ever been active. Profits were not generated through algorithmic trading. Early investors were paid with new deposits, referral bonuses incentivized pyramid growth. Promoters were given slush fund payments from investor cash. Arcaro pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and agreed to cooperate. He admitted to orchestrating a massive U.S.-based promotion network that funneled investor funds through offshore accounts. As part of his plea, Arcaro agreed to forfeit over $56 million, including luxury real estate, cars, and crypto wallets. But he wasn't the only one facing heat. Global chase for Satish Kumbhani. While Arcaro was in U.S. custody, Satish Kumbhani had disappeared. A federal indictment was unsealed in February 2022, charging him with wire fraud, money laundering, commodity price manipulation, operating an unlicensed money transmission business, conspiracy to commit international financial fraud. According to U.S. prosecutors, Kumbhani had built a decentralized fraud system that touched over 95 countries. He had allegedly moved money through Dubai, Ukraine, Singapore, and India using shell companies and crypto mixers. When Indian authorities tried to arrest him at his last known address in Maharashtra, he was gone. A global manhunt began. Interpol issued a red notice, requesting assistance from over 190 countries to locate and arrest him. To this day, Kumbhani remains a fugitive. Some believe he's hiding in Dubai. Others say he may be operating under a false identity in Eastern Europe. Regardless, international law enforcement continues its search. Asset seizures. Around the world, as investigations widened, governments began freezing assets. In India, enforcement agencies seized over R1,400 crore INR, $170 million USD in crypto, multiple luxury cars, jewelry, watches, and real estate. Investigators traced BitConnect funds through over 2,000 wallets, many of which were connected via mixers and privacy coins like Monero. In the United Kingdom, the company's registration was formally dissolved, and executives linked to its filings were subpoenaed. In the United States, additional lawsuits were filed in civil courts by individual investors. 1. Class action alleged that promoters misled users with profit. Guarantees presented, false testimonials omitted. Material risks operated in violation of securities laws. These lawsuits targeted YouTubers, influencers, and local BitConnect meetup organizers. Restitution for victims despite the massive losses. A glimmer of relief came in January 2023. The U.S. Department of Justice announced it would return $17.6 million in forfeited assets to over 800 victims across 40-plus countries. These funds came largely from the liquidation of Arcaro's seized assets. Each eligible victim received a pro rata distribution based on the amount they had invested before BitConnect's collapse. While helpful, the $17.6 million was a fraction of the estimated $2.4 billion stolen. Many victims, especially in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, received nothing. Their funds had been routed through unregulated local exchanges, over-the-counter desks, and decentralized wallets. There was no paper trail, no recourse. This injustice exposed a massive legal blind spot. Crypto scams are global, but restitution is local. If your government didn't pursue BitConnect, you were out of luck. Regulatory whiplash. BitConnect's collapse triggered a regulatory tightening around the world. In India, the Reserve Bank issued stricter guidelines for crypto KYC and cross-border transactions. In Australia, regulators convicted John Begatten, a top BitConnect promoter, for offering unlicensed financial services and misleading investors. In the U.S., the SEC launched broader efforts to classify many crypto lending and referral-based platforms as securities offerings. This set off a domino effect. Suddenly, YouTube influencers had to disclose paid promotions, Twitter threads with financial advice became legal risks, Telegram admins were held accountable for schemes they helped promote. BitConnect became a case study for why crypto needed guardrails. Shattered confidence beyond courtrooms and raids, BitConnect left something deeper, a broken trust. Before 2017, crypto was seen as rebellious, risky, but optimistic. After BitConnect, it became darker. The idea that crypto was freedom collided with the reality that scams could look like innovation. Investors began demanding audited code, public founder identities, tokenomics breakdowns, escrowed funds, independent security reviews. Even legitimate projects had to prove themselves. The age of just believe was over. Meme immortality. The curse of Carlos Matos. While courts fought over billions, one man's voice still echoed across the internet. BitConnect! Carlos Matos. He wasn't indicted. He wasn't fined. But his meme became a digital scar. Interviews later revealed he had lost money, like everyone else. He said he never worked for BitConnect, just believed in it. But it didn't matter. His image became a symbol of financial hysteria. A reminder that enthusiasm doesn't equal due diligence. To this day, people play his scream before investing in new coins. A joke. And a warning. Conclusion. BitConnect's reckoning was slow, scattered, and far from complete. Billions vanished. A founder disappeared, and justice came in fragments. But the legacy it left behind changed everything. Crypto was no longer immune to prosecution, influencers were no longer untouchable, and scams were no longer guaranteed to fade away. BitConnect was the trial run for digital enforcement. It proved regulators could adapt, that victims could fight back, that no matter how decentralized the crime, Real-world consequences could still follow. Chapter 5. Legacy, the aftershock, cultural trauma, and the scam playbook. When BitConnect collapsed, it didn't just take money with it. It took hope. It took trust. And it left behind a blueprint for how to deceive, manipulate, and vanish in the digital age. Even after billions disappeared, one question remained unanswered. How did it happen again? And more importantly, why is it still happening? The psychological ruin BitConnect's victims weren't just investors. They were believers. Many weren't financial experts. They were regular people, Uber drivers, warehouse workers, students, retirees, people who saw in crypto a last shot at financial freedom. The promises were simple: daily returns, passive income, early retirement, and for a while the dashboard said it was true. People watched balances grow, they told their families, they convinced friends, they borrowed more, they sold property, some even took out loans. When it all collapsed in January 2018, the reaction was immediate. Telegram groups turned silent. Reddit threads filled with panic. People shared screenshots of life savings wiped out overnight. Some disappeared entirely. Others posted final messages. It wasn't just money. It was identity, belief, pride, all destroyed in a click. A man in the UK told reporters he lost his marriage after investing over $70,000. Another in South Africa sold 2 family homes to go all in. In the Philippines, suicide hotlines reported a spike among crypto users that year. No direct link was confirmed, but the timing was chilling. BitConnect wasn't just a financial scam, it was emotional demolition. Influencers, the unpunished architects, many of BitConnect's promoters walked away clean. They weren't anonymous like the founders. They had names, faces, channels, brands. Some had hundreds of thousands of followers. They posted daily videos. Why BitConnect will make you rich. I made 10K this week. Here's how. BitConnect is still paying out. They weren't just selling hope. They were selling credibility. People trusted them. After the collapse, many deleted videos. Some rebranded, moved to new platforms, launched new coins. One influencer promoted BitConnect in 2017. By 2019, he was pushing NFTs. In 2022, he ran a DeFi staking platform. The cycle didn't break. It evolved. Few were ever charged. Fewer were convicted. Why? Because influence isn't a crime, even when it costs people everything. The meme that outlived the scam: Carlos Matos never built the platform. He didn't write code. He didn't move wallets. But he became the face of it all. Hey, 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 BitConnect! His voice turned into a meme, a soundbite for loss, a punchline to tragedy. In later interviews, he said he was a victim, that he lost money too, that he believed, just like everyone else. And that may be true, but it didn't matter. His laugh became a warning. His speech, a symbol. Not of crime, but of how quickly belief becomes madness. A new era of crypto deception. BitConnect's collapse should have been a turning point, but it wasn't. In the years that followed, newer scams appeared, faster, flashier, more viral. Plus Token in China, a $3 billion Ponzi disguised as a mobile wallet. Celsius and Voyager in 2022. Centralized lending platforms that overpromised, under-collateralized, and collapsed in a bear market. Terra Luna. Marketed as an algorithmic stablecoin. It lost $40 billion in weeks. Each time, the pattern repeated. Huge. Promises: viral influencers. Explosive growth. Sudden collapse. Victims left behind. BitConnect wasn't an outlier. It was a prototype. The difference? New scams learned from it. They added layers. Anonymous founders, smart contract wrappers, decentralized domains, Telegram-only support, and the victims? They were still chasing the same thing. Escape? Freedom. A miracle. The system isn't ready. BitConnect exposed something regulators weren't ready for. Crime that doesn't need guns, doors, or fingerprints. Just a wallet, a promise, and Wi-Fi. Governments tried to catch up. Interpol issued red notices. The US DOJ set up a crypto enforcement unit. The SEC started cracking down on unregistered securities. YouTube was pressured to take down scam content, but none of it was fast enough. By the time law enforcement moves, the money's gone, the team is gone, the project is gone. Crypto's speed is its power and its danger. The new BitConnect's in late 2023, a token launched on decentralized exchanges. BitConnect 2.0 IT claimed to be a joke, a meme coin, community-driven. But real money poured in. Thousands bought it. Why? Because the name was familiar. Because people love second chances. Because maybe this time, the punchline pays. And that's the darkest part. BitConnect didn't just fail, it became self-aware. Now, scams don't hide. They mock you. They say, yes, we're a Ponzi, but maybe it works. Maybe you're early. It's no longer deception, it's performance art, and people still invest. The curse of FOMO behind every scam is the same whisper. Don't miss this one. You missed Bitcoin. Don't miss this. It's not greed. It's fear. Fear of being left behind. Fear of being the only one who doesn't make it. BitConnect didn't create that fear. It exploited it. Today that fear fuels everything: meme coins, staking schemes, fake airdrops, rigged trading, bots, AI-generated tokens. The tools change. The dream doesn't. What we learned, and what we didn't. BitConnect taught us a few brutal lessons. If returns are guaranteed, it's fake. If money depends on referrals, it's a pyramid. If there's no product, the product is you. But the bigger lesson? Technology doesn't protect us from human nature. We still want shortcuts, we still trust too fast. We still silence doubt when hope feels good. Scams don't survive because they're clever. They survive because we want them to be real. Conclusion: the ghost in the code today, BitConnect, is gone. Its site is offline. Its token is worthless, its founder is missing, but its spirit is everywhere. In the voice of a YouTuber promising 10x gains. In the Telegram admin saying, just hodl. In the tokenomics doc that guarantees 1% daily. BitConnect lives on. Not as a company, but as a template. For how to sell a fantasy. For how to vanish. For how to win, even when everyone else loses. Crypto didn't kill BitConnect. Crypto let it happen. And unless we learn, the next one will be bigger, faster, smarter, hungrier. BitConnect wasn't just a scam, it was a mirror, and it's still staring back.